Warning: this show contains strong language, brutal opinions, and zero apologies given. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Welcome to Savaged Unfiltered, where truth gets raw, opinions stay real, and nothing is off limits. This isn't your average podcast. It's the unfiltered conversation you've been craving. Politics, culture, chaos, we're diving into it all. No scripts, no safe spaces, just savage takes and real talk. You're in the right place. Strap in. It's time to get unfiltered. Savage.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. I am Savaged here, also known as Michael Gardner. Guys, where to start here with this? First and foremost, guys, I got a lot to talk about on today's program here. Is it spiritual warfare or is it something entirely different? I want to go through that with all my listeners here. If you're joining us on our raw format of TikTok Live, thank you very much. I want to comment on TikTok of what happened to me last night, but I will go into that further into the program. Guys, this is this is pretty bad here. Bad stuff. And, I just don't know where to start. We're all puzzled for a lot of different things. Like, why is it that, why are we going through this? Why do we have to constantly look over our shoulders now and hoping that nothing will alter that time frame of our current existence? I'm getting a little spiritual here, folks. Because, I had a good conversation with a good friend of mine, okay, about this particular topic, what we're discussing here. And, I want to get into something because it is exactly what needs to be addressed on this show. Now, what happened to Charlie Kirk is just a tip of the iceberg of what we are seeing in this country. Folks, we are battling good and evil in this nation. We are battling against evil in this nation. And how do we challenge this with our conservative friends? I'm hoping I'm speaking to conservatives here. How do we eliminate this? But before we go into that, I want to bring in a really good friend of mine. He's a TikTok media personality on the platform, Angel. Welcome in, Angel. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, Savage. Thanks. Um, I fully agree with you. I fully agree that we're seeing a lot of evil in today's society, a lot of evil within our own nation, and I'm glad that you're bringing these topics to light because it kind of goes with what me and you were talking about before the stream even started. Um, I have a very controversial opinion of what the actual conspiracy behind Charlie Kirk's unaliving is. Um, I have a very and I have facts to give basis to the theory that I have, and so far my theory has been proven right on multiple occasions. And just fact checking some of the things that I myself have questioned have come across a lot of truth behind what my theory is, and it's going to be controversial. It's going to be controversial. The opinion and theory that I have is a very controversial opinion, and I think that a lot of people are going to disagree, and a lot of people are going to basically put blinders on because of how fresh this actually is.
Hmm. Can you go into a little bit of that, of this theory of yours, of maybe
So,
educate some of my listeners
so,
of what you're referring to, Angel?
so yeah. So, in order to understand my theory, I have to take you back to the beginning. And this is about 3 weeks before Charlie Kirk was killed. Um, so Charlie Kirk was bringing to light a lot of things that the right side doesn't really like to talk about, and the right side has really tried to silence. So when I bring this up, I'm talking about an interview that he had 3 weeks ago, where he had brought to light the fact that Israel is getting ready to do an ethnic cleansing, and that 2.5 million people are just going to drop off the face of the world, were his exact words. And he said that he doesn't use ethnic cleansing lightly. And behind the scenes, Candace Owens has given us insight of behind the scenes, and him, Netanyahu, Ben Ackerman were in very heated talks and conversations with each other, and the fact that Charlie Kirk was getting ready to change his political view over Israel. And another basis of like what I'm basing this theory off of is no one is asking questions anymore. Nobody is questioning whether or not this was an inside job, whether or not this was somebody of high power who was pulling the strings, and somebody that I could see actually pulling the strings behind this would be Netanyahu himself. Um,
That's
just
interesting
for
you
the
put that
basis.
in because a lot of conservatives have brought that, that topic up with the prime minister there in Israel. And I mean, let's go into that. Why would you feel that he may be responsible in some of what happened last week with, Charlie Kirk?
So the reason that I feel this way is Netanyahu has already lied about a letter that Charlie Kirk wrote to Netanyahu, and Candace Owens has called him out, saying, "Publish the whole letter. Let Charlie's words be heard for what they are." Netanyahu only quoted two sentences out of a whole letter um, that Charlie Kirk had wrote to him. And in the following weeks of this letter, we actually saw an instance between Bill Akerman, Netanyahu, and Charlie Kirk, where they had very heated talks in a Hampton hotel.
Mm.
And Netanyahu and Akerman are saying that the basis of the conversation was pretty calm and content, but Candace Owens seems to know that it was not a content conversation between them, and that words were shared that were not okay, and that threats were made.
Huh. And can you expand on some of these threats? What were these threats being made?
Um, so a lot of them were coming from TPUSA committee board. Um, sponsors, or they were coming from TPUSA sponsors. They were throwing a lot of heat on the fact that Charlie Kirk was getting ready to change his political opinion from a Judeo-Christian standpoint to just a firm Christian standpoint. And he was really shining to light a lot of the things that America does with Israel, like the fact that we're sending $4 billion every year to Israel alone. There's a lot of stuff that he was trying to uncover that I think that he was silenced for.
So, I mean, something, after hearing this, and I'm going to agree to this analogy here, something is not adding up. Why would he make that switch, Angel, from Christian values to something entirely? Did Charlie know something that he wasn't necessarily telling us full frontal on this? Or is it something a lot deeper than that?
So I think that Charlie knew and had found out something that he was going to release to the public, but never had a chance to. And I think that's what Candace Owens is trying to pry out of these people who are lying and saying that these talks were cordial and calm when they definitely were not. And this is coming from Candace Owens, someone who had known Charlie Kirk for years, has been a part of Charlie's everyday life. So why wouldn't we take her words as fact over the situation? Just knowing that she was there alongside Charlie at almost every event that he was at, and knowing that they were very close friends personally outside of politics as well.
Interesting you bring that up. So let's dive a little deep into this, folks. Let's look at to what we know, okay, of Charlie Kirk. A man that resembled faith, a man that resembled traditions. I want to put American traditions. What I mean by traditions, folks, is I mean more of traditional values of before the modern age of society of what we're living in. Meaning that you would probably hear this term going back maybe with your grandparents or maybe your great-great-grandparents, a term that is not really used today in society. Marriage, discipline, integrity, honor. I'm being serious. I'm being really, really serious to you guys listening, because this is something rare even in Charlie's generation. A man in his early 30s, almost celebrating his 32nd birthday next month. Would have been his 32nd birthday, October 14th. I'm being told, which is rare, Angel, for somebody of his caliber to more or less resuscitate that message. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, is it because of
I
his,
do
of his
agree with you,
background of
Savage.
faith, or was it something entirely different?
I think he found out the truth on some subjects that he was uninformed about before, which is why he was trying to bring certain subjects to light. And the reason that I say that is because the moment that he changed his opinion about Israel is when his sponsors had a huge issue and were trying to pull out of sponsorship deals with him, and were very heated about the conversations, trying to push the pro-Israel movement. And this is where it gets tricky. Okay, this is where most of the controversy
Sure.
comes in, because I don't agree with Trump pushing that this was a left-wing narrative before we even knew that. Does that make sense? He was pushing that this was a leftist ideology before we even knew the full facts of the situation. And you know I'm a Trump
I
supporter. I'm a far
understand where
right
you're going
conservative.
with that, but with all due respect, look at the tensions and the demeanor coming from the president, stating
And
somewhat of a
this is exactly why I
yeah.
bring this
One
up,
second, let me just go
because
there if you don't mind. I'm gonna agree with you to an extent here, but I'm also gonna put into this uh, analogy of the president basically stating some type of belief towards his opinion on that with factual information of evidence that he is more or less seeing right there in the front. Going back to recent events to all the way back to 9/11. Okay, going even further back. I mean, if you want to go way way back, folks, we can go back to Dr. Martin Luther King. We can go back to JFK. We can go back to all that and basically hold the comparisons between two lines of parties. I see where the president is going with even most recent events happening now. That is more of a left issue than a right issue. And I'm going to quote the president and paraphrase that everything you're more of seeing now these days is coming from a left speaking point that is not only inciting it, but I believe, in my wholehearted opinion, provoking it. I want to get your answer on that, but I also want you to more or less elaborate what you're saying, Angel, towards that.
I completely agree with you, Savage. I completely agree that the narrative that we've seen as of late in today's society, that is mostly left narrative being pushed. But my question back to you, Savage, is what did the left have to gain from Charlie Kirk's unaliving?
What did the left gain, you're saying, of leverage?
The reason that I bring that up is because the left had nothing to gain from Charlie Kirk unaliving. The right had everything to gain from gaining a martyr in this way. We're able to now push the right narrative as far as we can without question, on surface
I'm sorry. Say that one more
250
time.
legislators in
And
Israel.
okay, we got you. We kind of lost you there for a minute, Angel. But if you could say that one more time, buddy, I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to start raising the question of, like, why do we have 250 of our own legislature in Israel right now learning Israel beliefs, and they're all wearing yarmulkes, by the way. They are all dressed in a yarmulke, and they are there for a week learning Israel's way of doing things on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. And this is weird to me, because if we're supposed to separate our religion and our state, then why are our legislative members learning a whole religion and what they do on a daily basis within that religion? um it's raising questions in my mind as to why it was even mandated by Trump that all 250 legislative had to be there. So my questions are really raising on the subject of going from Charlie Kirk bringing light to the subjects in Israel to now we have 250 legislative members in Israel currently learning the Jewish faith.
It's uh, it's a good point you're bringing up. I wish I had the answers to give you, Angel, and for those that are tuning in. Uh, I want to be completely honest with you and respectfully to myself and others that may be tuning in on any platform. Okay, we're cross streaming on, but I'm just as dumbfounded as anybody else in this discussion, because you are onto something, Angel. Something is definitely not adding up. But what is the motives behind it? Like, you bring up the term cleansing, right? We've heard
Yeah.
for decades that the second coming of Jesus, we've heard of the term even spiritual cleansing. We've heard of wiping out. We've heard of all these terms. Is the country of Israel actually coming into existence within the spiritual realm? That would be my next question. Are we actually getting a true cleansing of what the church is more or less insinuating? I mean, are these?
See, and that's a
I
very
know people are viewing me on Twitter, guys. So I'm about to use a word that does not violate TikTok because we are streaming on TikTok. Are we seeing these unalivings more on a spiritual tense than a radical tense? Is it more spiritual than radical? Because on the right, and I want to answer a question here coming in with the gentleman here on TikTok here. Let me go back to it. Basically, we got a question here, and if you want to answer that, Angel, please just chime in with your response. Now, this individual saying that I guess he's referring to left. Left ideology believes everyone must think as I think. Right, meaning our ideology believes we can agree to disagree. Now, I want to comment on that, but I want to go to Angel on that. Do you have any response to that comment that came in through the TikTok feed?
I can agree with the statement made. I feel that before, especially before Charlie Kirk's unaliving, um, I feel that the left really feels that we push a hateful narrative, and that's why, like, when they come into our lives and everything like that, or the podcasts, they really push a left narrative, because I think that they feel that they're not being heard, even though that may not be the case. Us on the right, we just feel very heavily into common sense and our religious beliefs, and so it's not that we don't hear the left or want to conversate with the left, or just blatantly are disregarding the left as humans. We're not. We just see different aspects of life, and we all hold different opinions over those aspects, and so I do agree with the statement made. um, but then again, there are some leftists that I've met that have had no problem having full blown conversations. You know what I mean?
Mm. It's definitely something to discuss here, guys. I want to continue this though, but I do got to get a quick sponsor break in, guys. We're going to be right back to this discussion. Don't go anywhere. Guys, this show is not only partnered with, but sponsored with an amazing, amazing company called Blackout Coffee. That's right, guys. Coffee for America's warriors, and rightfully so. By checking them out today, guys, we're going to give you a special offer from us here, Savage Unfiltered, aligned with Truth Productions Media, by using this promo code SAVAGE20 for 20% off. So those that are joining us on Rumble, X, and YouTube, as well as TikTok, the folks that are on TikTok, obviously you can't see the graphic here, but if you jump over to the other feeds, you'll be able to see this graphic with the QR code. If you scan this QR code, guys, you're going to get all the details on this amazing, amazing coffee company. John, a little backstory of the company, guys. John, which is one of the founders and CEOs of this company, had a vision with coffee back in 2018, 2019, when the company just basically kind of got its boost more or less. It goes back to 2015, but the true respected boost came around 2018, 2019. Had a vision for coffee, right? Looked at every single type of outlet out there, Folgers, Maxwell House, and tried to pitch an idea where he could deliver something that was going to give you true organic quality taste. And the idea came to him. A coffee not only organic, but a coffee naturally brewed. Folks, this company is so passionate by the work and time and energy that they put in every single day. Learning John's story of waking up as early as 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to start cooking the beans and processing them, that is beautiful, folks. It really is. Not only is this company passionate about their craft, they're also passionate about this country. A veteran-based company backed by veterans. That's right, guys. CEO John and others are former members of our military, of both brave servicemen and servicewomen. So please, guys, take a moment to check out this amazing, amazing company that believes in giving back to its community and giving back to you, the listener here of the Savage Unfiltered Show. Proudly sponsoring our show and countless others. Check them out today and tell them that Savage from Savage Unfiltered Show sent you. And thank you very much, John, for all that you do here for the country. Coffee for America's Warriors, guys, a non-woke company, and they stand by their words. Now back to the show. Now I want to open up some of our panelists here on TikTok and possibly get their perspective. I have another comment here that I want to basically respond to real quick before we bring Angel back into the mix here. The truth is Trump can't be trusted as long as he backs Israel. Well, Ryan, I believe that's the individual's name on TikTok. If you'd like to come up to the panel here and explain a little bit more of what you're referring to, please request in if you're still part of us here on TikTok Live, because I'm not really sure what you're insinuating with that statement.
I think I do. I think I do.
You do? Yeah. Come on, jump right in, Angel, because I think this is the. I'm going to go there, but go ahead, buddy.
So there was an instance where, and this was very recently with Charlie Kirk and Trump, but Charlie Kirk was exposing a lot of light on the Epstein files, and he was asking of like why we haven't released them, because if we noticed back in 2020, Trump was a really big advocate for releasing the names within the Epstein files, and I think Charlie must have found something, because the statement that Trump made after he asked about those was very shaking to me. And Trump said not to look into it. He blatantly told Kirk not to look into it. And so my next question is, now we know that Trump's name is in those files. We know this for a fact. We know that he's a part of these files. We don't know the context of which he's in the files for. I will give everybody that. We don't know the context of which he is, whether he is a federal informant for the FBI or not. We don't know. But it's just stuff like that that really, like, that I really want to shed light on, because these were the things that Charlie Kirk was talking about before getting unalived. And ultimately, I truly do believe that Charlie Kirk just flew too close to the sun. I truly believe that the standpoint he was getting ready to take was getting ready to shake America. And I don't think a lot I don't think as many people are asking questions as they should be. Because when in history have we ever let the government spin a narrative about somebody that we knew facts about?
Interesting. Interesting. Now, you mentioned that he may be part of these files. Explain a little bit more of what you mean by that.
We've gotten confirmation on multiple different sources, even .gov sources, Congress.gov being the most representative one that I can quote. But they've admitted that Trump is in the files, but they can't give the context of what Trump is in the files for.
Mm.
But we do have the facts that Trump's name has come across the e-files, and we just want to know the context of why he's actually within those files.
Huh. I mean, this is a lot to, you know, to not only observe, folks, but more or less digest. Even regular, simple-minded folks, they are very, uh, very baffled by all this, right? With the Epstein files to now Charlie Kirk to, I mean, going back to, I mean, this past week, very, very disturbing yet confusing series of events where we've seen one radicalized message pushed with the woman from Ukraine that came over to this country. Now, folks, let me go into that real quick, okay? Real quick, okay? Because I do not want to sound like a hypocrite as a conservative media journalist, podcaster myself, but like, let me explain here what I mean by that. So, for years, we've heard the narrative of Antifa and BLM pushing the narrative of how they are trying to get the support behind Ukraine and the people of Ukraine, and how even us conservatives on the right should support that. Angel, I find it very disturbing of how that narrative was pushed to how it escalated this past week with with the woman from Ukraine. I'm
And
confused because
this is kind of
the
touching.
alleged hold on real quick, the alleged attacker that unalived, okay, that woman was a supporter of the very same thing I just announced, was it not? I'm trying to wrap my head around all this to see where the connection is coming from. You go into a spiritual cleanse. I want to go in there with you. I want to get into depth. Let's connect the dots, Angel. What is going on?
And this is why, like, I'm pushing this narrative, because this was something that Charlie Kirk was pushing himself.
Sure.
And I feel that now that he is gone, nobody's asking questions. I feel that everybody is just accepting what the FBI is saying and what all these politicians are saying is fact. But when we compare them to what Candace is saying, and someone who's known Charlie for a very long time on a personal basis, it doesn't match up. It doesn't match up to someone who's known him, talk to him on an everyday basis. It's not matching up. The story that we're getting about all of this isn't matching up to what Charlie himself was saying.
Mm.
Now, I really wanted to shed light on this, and this is why I told you before we even started that this is a very controversial subject
It
that I'm
is, and
bringing
I
up
want
right
you to
now.
go there with us. I mean, hey, we almost have an hour show here, and I mean, I want you to shed light. I mean, if there's something maybe that you are picking the puzzle in and figuring out, please explain. Because, folks, we're not doing
And
this to be the first in media. I mean, if there is individuals willing to come on a platform like mine or any other platform to shed light, to try to figure out the missing piece of the puzzle, right? That's what we're trying to figure out. So please, Angel, I mean, like you go into a spiritual cleansing. Is it more than that?
yeah,
Like
so
what?
he was very nervous to even talk about that subject. And his words were that Israel was getting ready to do an ethnic cleansing, and that he doesn't use that term very lightly. And then he went on to further his statement saying that 2.5 million people were getting ready to leave this world. That was the statement made on an interview 3 weeks before his unaliving. Um, and this is what I want to shine light to, because and you kind of shined light a little bit on it, Savage, talking about the woman who was unalive because of her beliefs with Ukraine and the Russia situation. Um, they pushed a narrative with that one,
Mm,
right? And now we're seeing another person who was very influential in today's society, and now we're seeing the same thing where they're pushing a narrative instead of actually telling us the factual basis behind why Charlie was actually unalive. Now, I also raise a question of, if Trump and Kirk were so close of friends, how come Vance was the only one to transport his body from Utah to Arizona and be the only one present?
he was also the individual that stood up for the special broadcasting of the Charlie Kirk show this past weekend going into yesterday. So I find that very very interesting. Now let's let's dive into that. Was it because of Vice President JD Vance basically saying that him and Charlie Kirk were personal friends? I mean, they considered each other as very close friends. Is that why, or is it something bigger than that, Angel?
And that's why I bring it up, because if Trump claims that he was as close of a friend to Charlie as Vance does, that then they were both very verbal about their support on Charlie Kirk.
Mm.
But my question is why did Vance be the only one there during the transportation of the body and during the original funeral service?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I don't. I'm
And
trying to figure it out
this
with
is
you
why I
or with
push.
anybody here in the audience and the ones that are viewing. I wish I had the answers. I'm trying to dive deep into this. I'm listening to other media personalities speak on this. I'm listening to Alex. I'm listening to Loomer. I'm listening to all of them, and still they're really not. I mean, they're diving into it, but they're not really going into the depth like how you and I are. I mean, obviously it's something bigger than that. And you know, it's funny you bring this up, Angel, because I go into your panels on TikTok, and I've said this, that Charlie Kirk is just the tip of the iceberg of what's going on with all this. It's much bigger than that. And I didn't use the term spiritual cleansing, but I was alluding to that analogy of that. Now, let's even put the dots even closer, folks. Now, obviously, to what we see, Angel, this alleged attacker, or a lot of what we're referring to, is a group of people, possibly an organization that may have been connected to this, responsible for this, is putting out videos here, which I want to basically bring in with a group called the Ferries Group. Now, before I post this video here, Angel, are you referring to? I mean, are you understanding anything of what I just basically brought in with this Ferries Group? Have you heard of anything about
Yeah,
this?
yeah. So you're talking about Destiny, aren't you?
I'm talking about that person because that content creator was featured on Pierce Morgan this past week.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
went
yeah. I
into
saw that
some
on X.
very, very dangerous rhetoric, if I may add.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that same interview on X. I did see the interview with Destiny and Piers Morgan. And I do agree. I do agree that it took a very radical standpoint on a lot of issues. It took a very radical standpoint, and I do agree with you on that. Talking about the shooter of Charlie Kirk, I feel that we're seeing a modern day fall guy because and I'm gonna explain further on why I say
Sure.
this because a fall guy's job is to push the narrative that it's his fault, right? That he was the person who did this. Okay, and everything that I've brought up before, everybody in my controversy has political power. They have enough power to bring in normal everyday civilians and be like, you're going to take the fall for this. I'm going to pay for everything for your family, and you're just going to take the fall
Yeah.
for this. And as long as you prove that rhetoric, then you're fine. And as long as you can stay silent about what's actually going on, then you're fine. That's the job of a fall guy, right? And when we're seeing that the bullets themselves were engraved and stuff like this, and him having a whole Discord chat with 150 different people where he told people that, oh, I have a chance to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it, and then later saying that it was him. Like, this is everything a fall guy would do. They're going to set the plot for them to take the fall. They're going to set the narrative that I did this and I did this alone, right? And this is what we're seeing, and this is what the FBI is pushing on us. And this is why I say never in history have we allowed our own government to push a narrative that we know to be false,
So similar
right?
to what
And
you're
that
referring
we
to
have,
as a foot soldier, more or less.
yes, exactly. And for a political leader like Netanyahu and I'm going to say it, or even Trump, it would not be hard for one of these men to pick up a civilian and say, I will pay for everything for your whole family for the rest of your life as long as you take this one fall.
Yeah.
It would not be hard, especially knowing that Trump is a billionaire. He doesn't care about money in this, as old as he is. He's not going to spare any expense when it comes to spending it in this day and age. Um, and these are the questions that I want to raise to us on the far right and conservative beliefs, because right now we're letting the government push the narrative, and we've never let that happen before. So I'm just asking, like, why are we starting now?
Good question. I want you guys to check out this video of Trump basically more or less alluding the same thing, but expanding it to a degree. Check this out.
Well, the problem is on the left. When you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left. That's not the right.
What's your thoughts on that, Angel?
It's kind of going to prove my point of this unaliving is only pushing the right's narrative even further, which is why I say the right had everything to gain from this unaliving and the left had everything to
Oh,
lose, because before there was talking, there was talking, there was conversation, there was all of this, everything was happening now. But now that Charlie Kirk's unaliving, Americans are mad. They're pissed off. They're not thinking straight because they're angry, and they're not questioning our government anymore. They're not questioning Trump's narrative. They're not questioning Kash Patel and why he acted so nervous when him and Bogiani were announcing that they caught the shooter. Like, I don't know if you caught on to those mannerisms that Kash Patel had, but he was very nervous in that
I seen
interview,
the
and he was
face.
kind of acting
I
like he
seen
was
the
hiding
freeze
something.
frame face. They kind of some social media influencers on X are basically, you know, doing a close up of his face responses and body language. I mean, I give you that. He did look a little nervous, like he knew something that he didn't want to more or less speak right away of. You know what I mean?
I think Kash Patel knows more about this situation than what he's telling
Mm.
us, and I feel that he's hiding something very deeply. But I haven't put the puzzle fully together yet. I'm still waiting for some pieces to fall into place,
Mm.
and one of those pieces did fall into place when we sent the 250 legislator to Israel, and that fact was mandated by Trump himself. He stated on X that if legislative didn't go to the 50 states one Israel conference, that they would potentially lose their seat.
Really? Huh.
Yes, and this is why I'm raising the question
You
of
know, that was
why
also
are
brought
we in
up. That
Israel?
was also brought up with Paulina Luna. She got into that deeply with congressional seats on how she was basically spoken to through certain, let's just say, congressional leaders on the right with that very, very same statement that you just brought. So I find that even more interesting that you bring that up because there was an
But
interview with
it doesn't
her
seem so.
and I believe it was Hannity last week that got into that very, very same statement. Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's not that far fetched. It's really not as far fetched as people make it out to be. Like just me having the theory. I've been in a couple lives today. I'll even quote that have, and they're conservative lives. They're lives that I normally frequent and go to, and they know that I'm a far right conservative Trump supporter, and they've even told me that I am blue pilling on this subject, and I'm like, no. This is a true conservative standpoint of why are we letting our government push the narrative when we know the facts of the situation that Trump was, or that Kirk was trying to bring light of what was going on in Israel, and he was also trying to bring light to the Epstein
Yeah.
files. And I do have another theory about the Epstein files that is very, very, very president today, and why he hasn't released them, and why he's asked to redact his name from the files
Yeah,
themselves.
hold that
So
thought. I wanna circle back to the Epstein file theory. But what you are mentioning here on the show, it is catching light to even celebrities, comedians such as Roseanne Barr. Check out what Roseanne Barr says, guys.
See it. A blanket of darkness is descending everywhere. See it. Stop it. The only thing that can stop darkness is light. And, we have it. Let's shine it upward and magnify it. Let's magnify each other. We got to do something. We got to
For
save our
Charlie.
country. We have to save our country
Yeah.
and what it stands for, which I've been saying everywhere I'm going. This is the only place that says a human being is born with inalienable rights that are given by God, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that no government can take away. No and no religious figures, no tyrants, no little Hitlers, no little anything, no little street gangs, no little self-righteous, self-appointed censors. They can't take it away. It's God-given, and we'll defend it.
Thoughts on that, Angel? She's got to go into the same direction, more or less, with you, but she did put in some words that no religious figures, no groups. I'm not going to name them again and repeat them again because we are on TikTok and I don't want to get nannered. But she's going into some really, really good points.
No, I very much agree with her on those points as well. And it kind of pushes that same narrative that I'm asking about, because we're asking the same questions. Like, why aren't we asking questions? Is exactly the narrative that we're pushing, because I feel that a lot of people are just taking it because it's a fresh thing, and everybody knew of him or knew him, and those who followed him felt very deeply about their beliefs in him. And so I feel that this unaliving has blinded a lot of people to the actual message that Kirk was trying to spread before his unaliving.
And Roseanne basically said the same thing. She didn't say it like you said. Why are we not questioning it? We know it, or at least have some type of conscience to more or less understand it. But why are we not pushing the envelope into it? Are we scared? Are we fearing something? Is there an entity, a certain
No,
entity, Angel, that we are fearing from bringing this even further?
I just think that I just fully believe that we don't know what to do. Like, we don't know where to start. We don't know what to move for. We don't know what to do in this moment. And this is why I feel that, like, we should start having the conversations that this was an inside job. This wasn't some random person in a random state at a random rally. No, this was planned. That this was definitely planned. And the fact that so many people are just ignoring the fact that it was planned just because we caught the shooter. No, the message doesn't stop there. The lies don't stop, right? And this is why I like Candace's Owens take on it. If you have to lie, even the smallest lie, there's something wrong. Like, there's a reason that they're lying. There's a reason that they're pushing a narrative. And lately, the narrative has been that we should unite with Israel and Gaza, right? And since Charlie Kirk's unaliving, many people have completely stopped asking about the e-files, Israel. They've stopped asking about Gaza. They stopped asking about Ukraine. It put a halt on all of these other things going on in the country. And it's really shining some light to me that this was done to distract people.
Interesting takes. You mentioned inside job. You mentioned possibly an inside job. Now, when you mean by inside job, do you have some type of, not evidence, but something to basically state your claim that it is an inside job to begin with? Meaning more of, let's go political lines. Do you feel that it may be something with political lines of the right or left, or possibly all party lines?
So I truly feel, and as much as this is going to hurt for me to say personally, I feel that Trump knew more than he's letting off in this situation. I feel that Trump has knowledge that he's not going to share with the public about this information.
Fair.
But given what Charlie was talking about, and I'm basing my theory based on solely what Charlie was bringing to light before he was unalive, and the fact that so many people are so ready and easy to forget the words that he spoke before he was unalive. It shows like that this was a clear distraction, and I'll even go further into this. When the shooter had done his deed with Charlie, right? There was an older gentleman in the crowd who started screaming, "It was me, it was me." And that was the older gentleman who was first placed into custody. And we later learned that he had nothing to do with the instance. But that itself is a distraction for the shooter to get away.
Sure.
And there was leaked information about the conversations within the Discord. Like, stuff is falling apart right in front of their eyes because there's a leak somewhere, and Candace Owens pointed it out, that there's a leak somewhere coming from the right side, pushing a narrative. And
Yeah,
and they're
there's
trying
a
to
story
control.
coming out with a local Turning Point USA chapter. Now I want to go into this. Okay, I may even pull up the video for a little bit more of relevancy of what I'm about to say. But this was actually a Texas State Turning Point USA chapter where a student was found imitating Charlie Kirk's unaliving and mocking him, and going up to the statue where Turning Point USA members were to initiate his unaliving again, and then found spitting on students. There's influence, very strong influence here, okay, of basically how I'm seeing this, Angel, okay? And I want to get this out before we, close up for today's program here. These students, these individuals that are more or less participating in this are not acting alone. To how I'm seeing it, there is strong influencing coming from groups. Now, from looking at videos, looking at posts, okay, I do believe that it's being narrowed by one group here, okay, and I want to plug this here, okay, because it's going to make sense of everything. Now, there's a group that came up on the radar here, which I'm not sure if you guys have seen this here on your platforms that you normally look at, but there is a concern group coming up called Arm Queers Salt Lake City chapter. Check this out, guys.
But here's this little island a couple of miles away from America, 90 miles away from America, and they have a president who talks like us. They have a president who understands the need for a liberated Palestine. And I think that was, that definitely altered my worldview as an organizer.
And when you were saying that, I recalled a very powerful moment at the May Day March of me realizing just how much the Cuban people believed in us to make a change, right? I kind of, going into it, felt like if I was a Cuban person, I'd be like, oh, these Americans are here. What do they know? But that was not the reality of it. They saw us as people who believed the same things they did, and they saw us as capable of really affecting change, and that was truly inspiring to me. I found that very powerful.
And this Shay quote came up a couple of times during the trip, but Shay had once said, "You North Americans, I'm very jealous of you because you guys have the most important struggle of all. You're in the belly of the beast." And I think that sentiment was very much felt when we were connecting with the Cuban people and people from other countries. was they had a sense of, okay, y'all are here, y'all are learning this information, you're learning how we made our revolution, but now it's time for you to go home and make your own revolution.
We went to Cuba and we
Let me
brought
just
medicine
stop it
there,
right
but
there. I'm gonna put it on pause here. Okay, Angel. Before I get a response from you, Bud, are we clearly seeing some type of recruitment in the messaging here? Is it recruitment, or is it something even further than that? How are you seeing this video unfold here, Angel?
I see it. I see it as recruitment. I solely see it as recruitment. That they made the statement that that they thought that Americans were uneducated on this fact, that we didn't know what we were talking about, had no idea what was actually going on, and yet we proved them wrong. So I do feel that this is more of a recruitment tactic, as saying, "Oh, America doesn't," and that's what gets Americans looking, right? If you tell an American that they can't or don't know something, they're going to go look it up, right? They're gonna go do their fact checking. They're gonna test their own theory. They're gonna make sure that what they're saying is 100%
And they're
factual.
also going to try
And
to
this is why
derail anything that you say, whether it's factual or not. If there is, and this is what I've learned um, from that radical mindset, and I hate to use that term, but it's absolutely 100% dead on. If you are even factual to a degree, they will immediately come in and then derail or debunk the entire argument to try to rebuttal anything to save their case within their statement to begin with. And certain individuals will either fold, or the strong minded person, meaning on the other side of the conversation, will engage and they'll push. And you'll see that engagement in the media world, folks. We call it engagement farming. You'll see that farm out to something entirely different. And it'll go on and on and on until another narrative is breeded in, or what I like to call and coin the term seeded. This is the seeding that you're seeing, Angel. I mean, more or less.
well, and it's just
And to
like,
my personal
and,
opinion, it is very dangerous.
and this is why, like I said, like this is why I questioned earlier, like, what did the left side have to gain from Charlie Kirk's unaliving? They didn't have anything to gain. They had everything to lose.
Mm. What do you mean
Like,
by
it
that?
gave the right side a martyr. It gave the right side a martyr. It gave the right side every excuse to push a right narrative without any more question, even from Charlie Kirk himself. Um, and this is why I say very firmly that the left knew that if this was to
I'm sorry, we lost you, Angel. Are you still with us? Okay, yeah, you
yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
I don't know if you muted yourself accidentally, but you were saying something, and then we just heard silence for like just about half a second. Can you repeat
oh
that again?
yeah, sorry, I was just getting into my car. But the reason that I say that they were pushing a right narrative is because now there's nothing stopping them from pushing a right narrative. Um, there was someone who was questioning the narrative, and now he's gone.
And who was that person?
That person that I'm talking about is Charlie Kirk.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hmm. My question to that, as we close up, if Charlie Kirk was the answer and symbol in stopping everything that you're seeing around you unfold. I'm talking about what happened with the girl on the train in Charlotte, with the events that escalated in Butler of President Trump, to the second attempt there almost at Mar-a-Lago. Everything that has escalated up to last week with Kirk. If he was still with us today, can you say for some type of solid, factual piece of evidence that he was the true symbol to eliminate all of the division, hatred, and violence in America today?
So I will quote Charlie himself. He said that the more people come after him and try to unalive him, it must mean the more they feel threatened by the truth. And what I get from that is someone felt threatened by Charlie's truth, right? Because at the end of the day, we aren't going to know Charlie's truth until it's revealed to us, right? And I think that Candace is really close to revealing Charlie's whole truth. And so what we're seeing now is someone was very threatened by the fact that Charlie was getting ready to change his narrative and political beliefs on certain subjects. And I feel that when he was trying to make those come to light, I feel that that's why he had issues with his sponsors, with Trump, with all these right-winged people that were okay with him before he started asking questions, right? That they were all okay with Kirk until he started poking around. Once he started poking around at things, that is when I noticed that the right side really turned on him. Like, and Trump especially, like, I'll point out that something that Trump said to him didn't sit right with me when he was asking about the e-files, and Trump said to leave it alone.
Yeah, I wanted to
I
circle
just
back
want to
to that
push that
statement
narrative.
from before. If you can go into that really quick, as we're almost losing time here on the show, go into that real quick if you can with those e-files.
So as I stated before, there's been evidence to show that Trump's name is in the e-files themselves, but that we don't know the context of the e-files. And when Charlie had asked Trump why he hasn't released the e-files yet, that was the statement that Trump made, was that to leave it alone, Charlie, that you don't want to know the answer. And that raises suspicion in my eye, and I think it should for a lot of Americans as well. Like, why did Trump say that? And I want to bring another question, as do you, and this kind of goes right with my theory here, that I feel that Trump pardoned himself with Vance. I feel that Trump pardoned himself for the e-files, and that's why he tried to redact his name from the e-files.
Okay, I want to answer that real quick. We have some comments coming in from Rumble here regarding towards some of the organizations that I have mentioned here. Now, this is something that has just been brought to my attention here from this individual here posting this here on our live stream, basically going into Pink Pistols is an LGBTQ plus organization for arming and training their community. Yeah, it has a lot to do with the what's been circulating on X with this Ferries Club that they're called, or at least being called, due to that some degree of that video I just showed, which I'm going to go into that video right before we leave here. Now these chapters here, also going into here, they have a chapter in Salt Lake City as well too. Operation Blazing Sword. Now, what is this Operation Blazing Sword? Are you familiar with this organization or this chapter, Angel?
No, I'm not actually.
Now, it's interesting that these people are bringing this up, and thank you very much for chiming in. This is what we're trying to figure out here, not only on my show, but I'm being told that Tucker Carlson will be featuring a show later tonight, guys, which I highly suggest you check that out. Basically, going into what's next. Where do we go from here with all this?
Oh, right,
Explain the
and I'm
Epstein
kind of
files if you
asking the
can.
same
I'm
thing.
sorry I kind of interjected there with you, but I had to put that in because it was a lot of relevant stuff that I was talking about with these chapters. So talk about that, and then I want to kind of close it out with that video that I just showed, if you don't mind, Angel.
Yeah. So I think I touched on it. I think I touched on the basis of my argument of why I feel the way I feel about that side of the argument. Kirk was a very big advocate for trying to release the Epstein files. He agreed along with Trump. That was one of the major reasons that he was a big advocate for Trump in the first place, was because Trump was the only one trying to bring light to the Epstein files in the beginning. But now, since Trump has been presidency, we've kind of seen that take the back burner, right? And we've kind of not heard much out of Trump on why these Epstein files haven't been released yet.
Mm.
So that just leads me into the context of, I think that Trump pardoned himself for the Epstein files, and that is why he had to try and get his name redacted from the files themselves.
Interesting. Because for months we've heard that there was a list, that there's not a list, the list doesn't exist. Interesting stuff. Here's another question to kind of go alongside that. Do you believe Charlie Kirk exposed college students in the ability to have either critical thinking or asking them to self-identify themselves to a spiritual deliverance?
So I do think that his standpoint on the LGBTQ community was a very firm religious standpoint. He didn't see them as any less of humans, but rather would imply that they had, say, like a mental illness that just hadn't been treated yet. And he himself never saw the LGBTQ community as any less of humans, but that he spiritually could not support them.
Interesting stuff. Guys, I want to go back to this video here as we close up here. This is the video I was referring to with a lot of this group here, which is catching a lot of eyes through high governmental agencies here, guys. Check this out.
That we're bringing back is a will to affect change and a will to try to support the Cuban people and to support revolution all around the world.
Every facet of Cuban society thinks like an organizer. And these students, who were regular medical students, they came and spoke, and basically what they were saying was, they were wearing their white coats, they looked like medical students. They were like, we're the reason that America's calling Cuba terrorist. And they were saying, well, if we're terrorists, we're proud to be terrorists because we're sending doctors around the world. And if that's our terror, then so be it, right? But here's this little island a couple of miles away from America, 90 miles away from America, and they have a president who talks like us. They have a president who understands the need for a liberated Palestine. And I think that was, that definitely altered my worldview.
That was actually a panel, believe it or not, folks, that I took from Benny Johnson off of X. So hat tip to you, Benny, for posting that. that video. But that was actually a live panel, folks, off of TikTok, believe it or not. And to my knowledge, not only did that account terminate its account, but it was also terminated on X as well too. Did they set up some type of Pandora's box, Angel, and all that by kind of closing their account up, or did they expose or leak something? Because obviously, the message that they were trying to present here, in my eyes, it seems like they didn't want us to learn even more of what was being discussed, because those accounts can't be found on TikTok or X. If you go over to the X account, it's basically saying that this account no longer exists anymore. What's going on?
So I have a question, Savage. I have a question for you. So since you know more about this website that we're using to stream right now, can I send you a video, and are you able to pull that video up?
Yeah. Real quick, if you could send it to me, actually.
Do you want me just to send it to your number?
No, it will take forever. If you could put this in, actually, my email here. If you could send it to my email, are you able to send it to my email at all, or?
Yeah, I can. If you just text me your email, I'll send it over.
Yeah, no
really
worries.
quick.
Let me put it in the private chat here. With that, bear with us, folks, because we have some developing stuff that Angel would like to possibly have air here to the show. So I know you guys are checking us out here, but just bear with me here, because this is something that I had no intentions on showing, but I will extend the show possibly another 5-10 minutes into transmissioning this footage here, or this piece of video.
And I will say there's nothing bad in the video. It doesn't show anything bad or say anything bad. It's clear. It's just Charlie Kirk and his exact words on why I have this opinion that I've formed. It's based off of these words that he's spoken. And I just wanted to bring that up to the panel so that everybody knows the interview that I was referring to, and what Charlie's one of Charlie's last statements were regarding political debates and the politics of today's society.
Sure. I sent you the email there in the private chat there, through we actually sent it to you there in the broadcast. So feel free to send it over, and we'll be able to download that and pull that right up immediately. So I do get some more. I'm getting some more comments coming from Rumble. Now, I guess obviously stating what we just mentioned, those websites were up for ARM Queers until September 10th, from what I'm hearing. Yes, Aspen Wolf. That's basically what I was alluding to with that. That was actually terminated right before, or right up to the event escalating with Charlie there in Utah. Does it show solid evidence for what happened last week? In my opinion, absolutely. Absolutely. It has all of that. I wholeheartedly believe that. I feel that not only does the FBI and Kash Patel have this on huge radar, but going into our earlier discussion, me and Angel here on the show today, something is not right here. Something is not right. So Angel is back. Obviously, he wants us to look at some footage here that will show solid evidence of his claim here that he has been making here on the show. Angel, we're just checking up on you. Did you send the video?
Yeah. I
Okay,
sent
let
it.
me.
So I sent it with the subject of CK. So it's under CK.
Okay, we're not seeing that at all.
So it should come from an email. It'll look so it'll here. I'll text you my email in our private chat here, really quick.
Okay.
And I just sent that
All
over.
right, let's check it one more time here. Are you getting it at all, bud? No.
Yeah. Under subject, I just literally put the letters C and K.
Huh. Yeah, we're not getting it at all. Is it on a platform? I mean, we can basically share
So
share your feed
yeah.
right
So I
over to the
found.
broadcast.
Do I even have a way to share my screen?
No,
Do I have
we
a
could
way
do
to
that
share
on
my
our
screen
end.
on this?
We can share we can share your stuff right off of your platform onto that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't personally posted it, but yeah. Give me a second. Let me
Yeah, if
see
you
if I
could post it
can
on a platform, I don't know if you're
figure
on
out.
X or TikTok or whatever, but we could we could share that right over from your feed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, give me a second. I'll
Yeah,
post it on
not a
TikTok
problem.
really
Sorry about
quick.
that, folks. Angel was trying to send us some type of file regarding a lot of what he was bringing in, and I really wanted to show this footage because it may make sense or it may come into some form of marination in the brain there to understand what is truly happening. Okay, and some of us may have an understanding, and some of us may not, but still have that thought and what's exactly going on. Bear with us here.
Oh, okay. So I just tagged you in it on TikTok.
Okay.
Or I mentioned you in it on TikTok, but I just posted it. It's the most recent post on my TikTok.
Okay, is that the one that says something feels off?
No, it should say Charlie Kirk slipped up. You might have to refresh my page, but I know I just mentioned you in the post itself.
Huh. Yeah, bear with us here, guys. I'm looking at what you're trying to do here. Where the hell is it at? This is crazy, guys. 1 second. Alrighty. You said you just tagged me on there. You said.
Yeah. I just mentioned you in it, so it should pop up in your activities that I mentioned you in a post.
Mentions and tags. Okay, we're seeing previous. We're not seeing. Hang on. All right, I'm not. Hang on. Bear with me, folks. I know this is a lot of dead air, but I'm trying to get this video pulled up here.
And just while everybody's waiting, and just while you're getting everything set up, Savage, I'm just gonna say a few words. Start asking questions, guys. Start questioning. These are questions that need answers. Like, if there's questions out there, start asking, because not everything is as it seems, and not everything is going to be black and white on situations, especially when we're talking about our own government. And this is why, like, I even told Savage before we even started the stream that my opinion is very controversial on this subject. And this is, and I just want to let everybody know that I'm a far right conservative Trump supporter. And it's apparent to me that this was a distraction.
Hold that thought. Hold that
And I
thought.
want
We
to,
actually have it here.
yeah.
I'm going to basically redo it here. I'm going to put up the.
And the Israeli.
Hold on 1 second.
And the Israeli.
Oh man, I'm trying to get to the beginning here. I'm trying to get to the beginning here, but 1 second, guys.
Hard right government has a mandate. I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I mean, that's, and I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people, okay?
I'm going to replay that, guys.
And the Israeli hard right government has a mandate. I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I mean, that's, and I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people, okay?
Huh. I don't know if you've, did you hear that, Trends? I played it twice. I played it twice.
Yeah, at least I was able to hear it, Savage. But yeah, if you notice his words there, he was very nervous, and he was very, he kind of, like, you know what I mean? He kind of dropped a huge thing on us before he was unalived. And I think a lot of people are just skipping over the statements that he was making before his unalivement. And it really goes to show, and I'm really trying not to push the narrative that this could be another serious incident, but I really truly believe that this itself needs to be brought to light, because I don't think a lot of people are really questioning the circumstances of this situation. And I feel that we're missing a lot of, we missed something. I'm just going to say it. We missed something. And I think this is why feels so off, and if we feel that something's not right, but nobody's saying it. You know what I mean? Nobody is publicly coming out to say, like, hey, something's not right here. Something's not adding up. Something's just not, like, something about this whole situation seems off. And this is why I bring this certain topic up, because nobody is hearing what Charlie was actually talking about, and the subjects that he was talking about leading up to his unalivement. And this is why I wanted to share that video with everybody, because these are the subjects that he was talking about, and these were the subjects that the sponsors of TPUSA were heated about. And Bill Akerman and Netanyahu, this only proves the narrative that the conversations that happened at the Hampton were not cordial. If Charlie truly felt this way, these aren't cordial conversations. These aren't cordial topics, right? We're talking about the unalivement of millions of people here. This isn't going to be a cordial conversation. This isn't going to be a sit down and let's have a civil talk. No, this is a heated subject amongst many politicians and many Americans today. This is a very heated subject that he was bringing light to. And the fact that the fact of the matter is Candace Owens is even calling out the TPUSA sponsors that were getting heated with Charlie. She's calling out Netanyahu. She's calling out Bill Akerman. She's calling out everybody who's lying about this situation. And she's even called out Trump for lying about certain things of this situation, and how conversations were between Charlie and Trump leading up to this rally and this unalivement. Like, narratives have been pushed in a way to make it seem like this was a leftist narrative, like this was all completely the left's fault. And I truly believe that that's a false statement, because we don't know the full intention behind the unaliving, and the facts that were given were only given by the FBI, by a government source. And another point is the left had everything to lose coming into Charlie unaliving. The left had every narrative to lose of the conversation with Charlie's unalivement. And this is why I say that nobody on the right is pushing questions like I am, because, and if that's me blue pilling, like, so be it. I'm going to raise these questions, and I'm going to ask the questions that nobody else is asking, because if everybody has put their blinders on, I'm trying to take the blinders off.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take what's in the dark, and I'm trying to bring it to light.
Our friends over on Rumble are basically saying the same thing. Cannons is on it. She put out a good video yesterday about it, pushing the very, very same envelope on what you were speaking on, Angel, with and like Angel had said, for those that are just kind of jumping in the live stream here, guys, and please, guys, if you missed the beginning. If you're not a follower us on Rumble or X or even TikTok, please, guys, hit that follow button, because this is some interesting stuff that Angel is bringing forward on this show, and shedding some light to something that even huge people on the right, or even people in center balance, meaning independent, are not mentioning at all. And I don't even want to mention the left, because the left is on their own mantle of a pedestal to begin with. So, I mean, this is something that we need to look at. Like, and if you have people like Candace Owens, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with every little thing she says, but what she is saying, and she's putting video out there with messaging, along with our friend here, Angel, on the show, it makes you want to wonder, like, there's a reason why Kirk was saying certain things, and possibly he knew something. But here's something here, Angel, and thank you for sticking around here, because I was gonna, we'd not like to do like around a 1 hour program, but I mean, you're going into some really important things, and thank you very much, and folks, thank you for sticking around for that. But here's something I want to question you on, if you can go into this real quick, and then after that we're going to have to depart. What is your view on Erica Kirk going into a biblical verse right before Charlie Kirk was assassinated last week?
Yeah, so the verse kind of speaks kind of the narrative that I'm pushing here. They knew that something was going to happen, and I feel very deeply about that, because, and Candace Owens and Erica have even admitted that Charlie was very nervous, and he was very nervous, and Charlie's even said this about himself on the subject of why he drinks so much water at these rallies, is because they made him very nervous. And I think coming out with the statements that he was making with Israel and everything, and the heat that he was getting from Netanyahu, Trump, and some sponsors from TPUSA, I feel that they were all very nervous. I feel that it was a very nervous thing, and I feel that this is only proving the narrative that I'm kind of pushing for. It is kind of this inside job, as you will, as you want to put it, because nobody unalives somebody because they don't feel threatened by that person.
Mm. No, I mean it's making sense now. It's making sense. Guys, I'm lost of words. Angel went into something that not only did I have some type of clear understanding of it, but went into some really in-depth analogies and theories that could be absolutely correct. And please, Angel, with all due respect, it's not that I'm not believing you. It's the opposite. I am starting to open up and understand exactly what you just presented here on the show. You went into something where it is so in depth. And it's not like I didn't know what Angel was referring to, because I had some type of, and I'm not taking credit from you, Angel. I had some type of understanding over the weekend, and I said this a few times, and it was wild as I said it, folks, because I was in a few panels, live panels over on TikTok over the weekend. And I was actually nannered for it. Meaning that my lives were just taken down into the very same thing we were just discussing. That this is bigger than all of this, of what we're seeing. It's a bigger picture. I went into certain degrees of conversations, similar to how Angel's referring to here on the show. And it's like, you know what it is? It's almost like they know what we think we know about what certain individuals are doing or what they're trying to accomplish. And it's all being tied to. And thank you very much for going into this foreign stuff, because Angel was listening, guys, with the foreign conflict with Israel, Gaza, United States. I've said for like last week that this could be something tied between the United States and a country somewhere in some foreign country. And Angel was right there, guys. Literally right there. And he got into it, into an in-depth part. And I really want to say thank you, Angel, for coming on the show. It looks like we lost Angel here on a discussion. He was joining us through a phone call, folks. He called into the show. But Angel, I hope you're listening to whatever platform we're streaming on, buddy. But thank you very much for opening this up into an in-depth analogy of high possibilities. Guys, I want to thank you guys for joining us here today. Remember, guys, we do a lot of these live streams usually during the week, in the beginning of the week on Tuesdays. Usually Tuesdays we do live streams, and then the rest of the week, guys, you can catch our regular programming on Spotify or anywhere you hear an audio podcast, for that matter. This is one of the reasons why I decided to do podcasting 7 years ago, and then obviously taking my craft from talk radio and media into this. Folks, we're not on here to stir the pot. I don't think that was Angel's intention, but I think it was for him to just open up the pot a little bit, open up to a broader and a broader view on it, to understand it a little bit. It looks like we have Angel back in here. Angel, if you want to close up, buddy, on anything, please. I have a lot of viewers tuning in here. If you could plug anything for, if they want to check you out some more, or, basically talk to you more about this issue, the floor is yours, pal.
Yeah, so anybody who's wondering, they can find me on TikTok and on X. It's angel.208.420. And that's across both platforms. It's the same name. I just recently reset my X account, so it is a fresh account. But no, and I'm not saying this, like, I am kind of saying it to stir the pot a little bit, but that's just because the pot isn't getting stirred at all right now. We're not asking questions. We're not trying to find out the truth. We're not pushing for the truth to come out. We're not pushing against our own government anymore, and that's an issue. We're not asking the questions that need answers. We're not asking why or what led. We're not asking the right questions here, and we're not getting the answers either. And I clearly just wanted to bring this up so that we can start asking more questions. We can start digging into this. I really want Americans to take a step back and really look at Charlie's message and the message that he was putting forth. And I really want some reflection from everyone. I want everyone to reflect on this situation, and I want you to do some soul searching on this situation and ask yourself, do you really think that some random person did this, or do you think that there is a bigger hand at play?
And that goes back to my conversation I had even with Butler. Does this go further back into a huge connection that has them all connected in some form of another? That's the golden key. Guys, thanks for tuning us out today on Savage Unfiltered. Remember, guys, if you miss these live streams on Tuesdays, you can catch the replay on the panel. Or if you're just catching up with the show now, guys, check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, anywhere you hear a podcast for that matter. We are growing constantly on all those platforms, 30 plus. So thank you very much. And Angel, pal, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you for shedding light into this this well-deserved conversation that pretty much needed to be aired today. My head is gonna. Yeah, my head is like englued with all this stuff. So thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. And till next time, catch you later, guys.
This had been a Truth Productions media episode. Thank you for listening.